Have you ever felt like a failure? Like it was an irreversible character flaw? Like no matter what you did, you would never be smart like that smart kid or perfect like that type A colleague of yours who just seems to be operating in a different league? These people were just built different. I don't blame you. We live in a deterministic world where attributes like intelligence, aptitude, amongst other cerebral qualities, are deemed as permanent outcomes. Complete determinants of who you ought to be, and your value as an individual. All deemed by a test score, a statistic, a number. Like they're irreversible facts. It is then easy to take one failure and credit it to be a beginning of a multitude of many to come. In a world that loves to glorify the naturally gifted, it is easy to take your failure as your prophecy. It makes attributes like intelligence highly desirable and unattainable at the same time. Today, I want to challenge this idea. This idea of blind talent. I want to emphasize that failure amongst cerebral attributes like intelligence are not permanent outcomes. And they are certainly not the only determinants of success. But you know what is the common denominator? Grit and neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change and rewire itself in response to new experiences. It is the brain's ability to create new neural networks and adapt to change. For shorts, everything is transient. And if you just keep at it and work hard, things will work out. This is not some Instagram quote I'm throwing at you. I got neuroscience with me. I know a smart audience like yourself will accept nothing less. I have always struggled with this idea of neuroplasticity. I've wondered. It first started as a distraction to my perpetual loneliness. The loneliness I felt as the new kid on the block. I had moved schools every year from age 10 to 18. It was all incredibly hard. Whether it was rebuilding my social ecosystems, learning to acclimate to new environments, cultural nuances, being the odd one out in a 90% Caucasian room, it was all difficult. But these were formative years, and they taught me a lot of lessons. But the most important lesson of all was one in grit and trusting the power of change and persistence. It also made me realize that failure, in fact, is not a permanent outcome. And with consistent effort, we can quite literally rewire our brains. So join me as I share this story. So we had moved again. And I found myself in a high-stakes situation. I was required to prepare for the 10th grade national board exams in India. It was high stakes, not due to its national stature, but because what had taken my peers 2 years to master, I had to prepare in just short of 3 months. My peers, teachers deemed it to be an impossible task. Had I failed to score competitively, I would be denied admission in 11th and 12th grade in any school in India. 10th grade is quite deterministic. So, with no help, no guidance, and no tutors, I took my first set of midterms, just 2 weeks short of stepping foot on campus. I failed. I was in quite the sink or swim situation, and had I listened to the conditioning around me, I was sinking. But I would go back to my mother's advice. She would say, Naomi, the harder things you do, the stronger your mind becomes. It wasn't until much later I would realize the neuroscientific truth behind this advice. She was right. Adapting to new experiences, new people, and constant change, making the hard decisions, would quite literally change my brain's morphology. Doing the hard thing doesn't just build resilience, It builds compounding resilience, or what we call grit and tenacity in the neuroscientific community. Tenacity strengthens our neural networks and prepares us for greater challenges. Let's take a deep dive into what happens when we make that tough decision. How does our brain react? When we step right in the middle of chaos and hold tight just a little bit longer. One key brain area involved in this process is the anterior midcingulate cortex, or what we call the AMCC. It is associated with grit, persistence, and long-term health benefits. Studies show that individuals with higher levels of grit have a thicker AMCC and have healthier outcomes. They're also more likely to succeed in life. Not only this, it has tangible health benefits like lower risk of Alzheimer's, apathy, and other symptoms related to neurological illnesses. So it turns out, making that hard decision has tangible outcomes. So here I am, busting myth one. But first, I'll go back to my mother's advice. She said, the harder things you do, the stronger your mind becomes. So here I am, busting myth one. The one about blind talent, or that feeling of, I will never be smart enough. With consistent effort and persistence, we can quite literally rewire our brains. Our brains are neuroplastic. So, I did just that. I persisted. I still remember the feeling and contrast between my first day in advanced math and how I felt when I stepped foot outside of that final exam room. To many people's surprise, even my own parents, I ended up scoring in the top 10 percentile of my cohort. And I did exceptionally well in future courses. The common denominator is not intelligence, aptitude. It is grit and the power of persistence and change, sticking it through. Amongst the chaos and the moving and the traveling, I realized that failure isn't a permanent outcome. I also realized the truth to having a growth mindset. While I sought to learn more about neuroplasticity and meditation, I stumbled into meditation. You might ask, how did I know grit was the answer? How did I figure it out? The answer is in my next door nosy neighbor. Amongst the chaos of moving, traveling, acclimating to new environments, my very concerned Indian mother expressed that she wanted me to grow taller. She wanted to stretch me out to at least 5'2". Let's just say it was a good attempt. So we had tried everything, vitamins, Horlicks for the Indian people in the audience, and other methods. Nothing seemed to work. But my nosy neighbor suggested we try yoga. My mother, determined to stretch me out, got me into yoga class. While it did not do much for my vertical growth, it helped me understand what the growth mindset could do for me, psychologically. Dr. Carol Dweck, a world-renowned researcher, did a study on 10-year-olds. These 10-year-olds were given math problems. These were highly complex, something to the effect of if I asked one of you to solve the Riemann hypothesis. I see some of you don't know what that means. That is precisely my point. These kids met the problems in fear. Some of them said things like, I don't know what that means. I'm not smart enough. These were said to have a fixed mindset. Others met these with enthusiasm and interest, said something to the effect of, I'm interested. This is really exciting. They were said to have a growth mindset. Results showed that individuals with the growth mindset had higher levels of brain activity and did substantially better compared to their fixed mindset peers. It matters how we talk to ourselves. It matters what we think and how we say it in the middle of chaos. The answer is in not some ideology, but our inner dialogue. So, amongst learning more about neuroplasticity, the growth mindset, I found myself loving meditation. What started as a simple breathwork technique would then evolve into an 11-year mindfulness practice I would practice every day. I did it this morning. Meditation isn't just a relaxation tool. It's transformational for resilience building and grit. Before I go into it further, I would like us to do a meditation exercise. Take a deep breath in and out. Another one in, out. Now, as we all sit here, I would like us to think of an intention. You can close your eyes if it helps you concentrate. Think of something you want to change, something that you go get. That something can be anything, something that's gotten in the way, your inner dialogue, that intention. I see some of you have it, great. Open your eyes, take another deep breath in and out. Now look at the partner sitting next to you. Don't break eye contact, this might be awkward. Now we're going to do 3 sets of breath work. Inhale for 4, hold for 6, exhale for 8. You might run out of breath, but that's okay. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. Inhale, hold, exhale. Do it with all your breath this time. Inhale, hold, and exhale. Now imagine telling that intention to the partner. You don't have to voice it, just imagine telling it to them. What it would be like if you'd achieved it. Take another deep breath in, out. You can break eye contact now. Meditation isn't some relaxation tool. It is transformational. A study showed that in a 4-day intervention, participants who practiced meditation for just those 4 days had higher resilience and grit scores. They were also on higher levels of mindfulness than their peers. 3 months post-intervention. Meditation has sustaining effects on grit and resilience. It sets you up for success. Dear audience, go back to your intention. How do you talk to yourself in the middle of chaos? What do you tell yourself? Can you view things differently now? Perhaps give meditation a try? Even if it is just for 5 minutes? Failure, success, intelligence, aptitude, everything is transient, I mean. And you hold the power to change your outcome. This is what the study found. Higher levels of grit and relaxation compared to a control group. Dear audience, you hold the power to change your outcome. The answer lies not in some ideology, not in your intelligence, but in your grit, in your AMCC. You got this, just like 10-year-old Naomi did. Thank you.